Most people think power is loud. They believe influence comes from talking more, arguing harder, or proving themselves smarter than everyone else. But the truth about human nature is far more unsettling. Real influence is silent. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't try to win arguments. And it certainly doesn't try to impress everyone in the room. Instead, it works quietly inside the human mind, long before people even realize what's happening. Centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli observed something most people still fail to understand. The individuals who truly shape decisions are rarely the loudest voices. They are the most psychologically aware. They understand how emotions guide behavior, how curiosity pulls attention, and how subtle signals can influence people without force. Because the uncomfortable truth is that most people believe they make independent choices, but in reality, many of those choices are shaped by invisible psychological pressures, tone of voice, emotional reactions, silence, and subtle shifts in behavior. Once you begin to understand these hidden dynamics, conversations start to feel like a chessboard, where every reaction reveals something deeper about the other person. And the first principle behind this silent influence is something extremely simple, yet incredibly powerful: the power of silence. Most people talk too much. They explain themselves, justify their actions, and rush to fill every quiet moment in a conversation. But silence creates psychological tension, and the human mind is wired to resolve tension as quickly as possible. When you pause and remain calm instead of immediately responding, the other person's mind begins working overtime. They start wondering what you're thinking, analyzing your reaction, and often revealing more information than they originally intended. Skilled negotiators and influential leaders use this constantly. They observe more than they speak. While others rush to explain themselves, they remain composed, allowing the silence to pull information toward them. And something interesting happens when you master this. People begin paying closer attention to you. Not because you demanded it, but because mystery naturally attracts curiosity. When someone cannot easily read you, their mind keeps returning to you, trying to understand what you're thinking. And without realizing it, they begin thinking about you far more than they normally would. This is why those who control their words often gain more influence than those who try to control the conversation. Silence doesn't just make you appear calm, it makes you appear deliberate, thoughtful, and psychologically strong. And in a world where most people reveal everything they think the moment they feel it, the ability to stay silent becomes one of the rarest forms of power. But silence alone is only the beginning, because there is another psychological force that quietly determines whether people respect you or ignore you completely. And once you understand that principle, you'll start seeing human behavior in a completely different way. The second principle of silent influence is emotional control. Most people are controlled by their emotions without even realizing it. A small criticism makes them defensive, a disagreement makes them angry, and a moment of rejection makes them desperate to explain themselves. But the moment someone else can trigger your emotions, they gain power over your behavior. This is why the most influential individuals learn to control their reactions instead of reacting impulsively. When you remain calm while others become emotional, you create a psychological imbalance that shifts the dynamic of the interaction. People expect reactions. They expect you to defend yourself, argue back, or show frustration. But when you respond with calm observation instead, something unexpected happens. The other person suddenly becomes aware of their own emotional state. They start questioning themselves. They wonder why you aren't reacting the way most people would. And that moment of uncertainty gives you quiet influence over the situation. Machiavelli often emphasized that emotional discipline is one of the greatest forms of power, because people naturally respect those who cannot easily be shaken. When someone shows that they cannot be easily provoked, manipulated, or emotionally pushed around, others begin treating them differently. They become more careful with their words. They observe your reactions more closely. They begin to sense that your behavior is guided by control rather than impulse. And this creates something extremely powerful in social dynamics: psychological stability. People instinctively trust those who appear emotionally stable because stability signals strength. Think about the leaders, negotiators, or individuals who command attention the moment they enter a room. It is rarely because they speak the most or try the hardest to dominate conversations. It is because they remain composed while others become reactive. Their calm presence changes the emotional atmosphere around them. Instead of being pulled into chaos or arguments, they remain grounded, which subtly forces others to adjust their behavior around them. Emotional control also prevents one of the most common mistakes people make in conversations: revealing too much about themselves too quickly. When emotions take over, people begin explaining, defending, and exposing their weaknesses. But when you stay calm and measured, you give away far less information while gaining a deeper understanding of others. And the person who understands more while revealing less often holds the psychological advantage. Over time, people begin to associate your presence with clarity and composure. They sense that you are not easily influenced by pressure, drama, or emotional manipulation. And in a world where most people react instantly to everything they feel, the ability to remain calm becomes something rare and powerful. Because the moment people realize that they cannot easily provoke you, they begin to respect you differently. But emotional control leads to another fascinating psychological effect, one that can dramatically increase how much attention people give you. It is a principle that powerful strategists have used for centuries, and once you recognize it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. It is the psychology of unpredictability.